Hello again, I am Blunty. Now, to those of you impressed enough by my brilliance to be regular viewers around here, you may remember a couple of months back my review of the Z1 Smooth, a 3-axis stabilizing gimbal made especially for smartphones, and spoiler alert if you haven't seen that review, it's a bit of awesome. You may also remember the end of that video where I kinda sorta managed to mount a GoPro to it, and it worked, but it wasn't especially secure. Now, of course, there are gimbals out there especially made for the GoPro and similar action cams, and in fact I have one and I'll be reviewing it very soon. The next video, as a matter of fact, so keep your eyes open. But before we get to that, the folks over at Glide Gear, who now sell the Z1 by the way, in case you're still looking for a trustworthy place to order one, they've actually slammed together a neat little gizmo accessory to make the Z1 phone stabilizer do double duty with other small cameras, including the GoPro. And it's a solution so simple it's one of those, why didn't I think of that? And maybe if I had a 3D printer I would have tried a little harder to think of a solution, but you know, Glide Gear have done it for me. Basically, it's a plate with a GoPro style mounting post on it where you can then attach your GoPro directly to it like any other GoPro mount. But the back plate lets you mount it nice and securely this time into the smartphone grip of the Z1. And the nice thing is, you don't have to buy it separately. They actually include it with the Z1 stabilizer gimbals they sell over at Glide Gear. And the good news is, it actually works really nicely. It doesn't interfere with the balance or motion of the Z1's gimbal mechanism and results in exactly the kind of smooth GoPro footage you'd hope for. Now in the shots you're actually seeing, I'm not being particularly careful, I'm just sort of strolling along. A more deliberate, smooth stride would iron out that slight view bobbing even more, but I kinda like it. I feel like it stops the footage looking too weirdly floaty. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Just by way of reminding you how much of a difference these gimbals can make to your footage, here is a side-by-side with and without the stabilizer. In this shot, by the way, it's not the GoPro, but the Xiaomi Yi, which, yes, I've reviewed, link in the description if you're curious. Now, the Yi doesn't use GoPro's standard mounts. It has its own standard tripod mount built right into its camera body, which is awesome, but presents a problem with this particular mount, of course. However, there are adapters to take that tripod mount to a GoPro mount, so that's what I used here. I just happen to have one. The same adapter let me mount the Mobius action cam also. I had feared its longer shape would hinder the careful balance and move the center of gravity too much forward for the gimbal to operate properly. But my fears were pointless. It actually worked flawlessly here too. The cube-shaped GoPro Hero 4 required only that I use the manual tilt adjustment of the Z1 to correct for the way its body shape made it mount to the adapter. The same story would be true of things like the Polaroid Cube being exactly the same size and shape. But once you key in that tilt, the work of seconds by the way, it worked absolutely brilliantly. Well, except for the fact that in my tests here I accidentally mounted the GoPro Hero 4 in its housing sideways. So that's one of the issues you have to deal with with a perfectly cubed shaped camera for those of us who let our attention falter while mounting the damn thing. But the point is, the stabilizer worked with it. So yeah, Glide Gear have been awesome people and have made the somewhat specialized Z1 smartphone gimbal even more flexible and useful out in the field. And speaking personally, I have very often done shots where I want to stay ultra mobile and carry the lightest gear bag possible, and I do that by teaming up my iPhone with an action cam. And being able to use the Z1 stabilizer with my phone and a GoPro without having to carry two different stabilizers or fiddle around with swapping out mounts and things like that puts a big wide smile on my face, just being able to clip in or clip out whichever one I happen to be using. And it's just one more thing I'll add to the list of reasons I really like Glide Gear. And yeah, coming up in my next video, I'll be looking at the specialist GoPro gimbal, which itself has a really neat trick up its sleeve, which does set it apart from the Z1 here. So if you're not already subscribed, probably time to do that. And please be kind enough to do the thing with the buttons and drop a comment about how Glide Gear's clever solution is so simple you're slapping yourself for not thinking of it first. I know I am. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.